المرسلين على آله وصحابته أجمعين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجلال الكريم رب زدني علما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين. صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So inshallah today we would like to complete the discussion, although this discussion is just a discussion, the actual implementation is a lifelong process, concerning the fundamental element of mashwara, consultation, mutual consultation. So much was said already. We want to continue, as we mentioned yesterday. What about the position of shura in terms of the state itself, the Islamic form of government? And if we look at the context of that particular era, we'll see that there was no such thing as a shura in terms of running a nation or a country or people. It was about the tribal leader or the leader of the area. We had Caesars, we had Cyruses, we had the Qaisar and Kisra, and kings, basically. Someone would take power, he would become a king, and then obviously his eldest son would take the position after him. That's how it went. Nobody had another alternative to that system. Islam came with a totally different system altogether, and that was a system of shura. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَ بَيْنَهُمْ وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. And as we talked about earlier, that amr, fil amr, consult them according to the affair. The affair of what? Any affair of importance. It should be, whether it's a personal matter, family matter, community matter, or a national issue, policy, etc. So these issues should be decided with consultation. It shouldn't be a one-man show. Whether it be a family, whether it be a community, whether it be a nation. At the same time, al-amr also many times in the Arabic language refers to who will be given the authority. يعني هل لنا من الأمر من شيء? Do we have any authority in this matter? Do we have any say in this matter? So not only issues will be decided by shura, but also who will run the country is also decided by shura. And it's interesting to see that we have not a specific format, but we have a format of consultation of various types that, according to circumstances, they could be chosen from. So Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, when leaving this world, interestingly, he didn't actually appoint a successor. Although he pointed in many ways to Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, right? And so it was understood, and obviously since Abu Bakr was considered by everyone to be the greatest, and the most virtuous of all the ummah after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, moreover after the prophets. So it didn't take long to decipher that matter and sort that out. So Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam instructed and insisted that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu lead the prayers until he passed away, and so many other issues. So, however, he didn't appoint someone, and that's very critical, because had Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam appointed a successor, then that would have been the sunnah, that would have been sharia, and that would have been the way, and that's the end of the chapter. That wasn't the case. It was left open. So what happened was, on the one hand, it wasn't handed over to one specific individual. At the same time, it wasn't thrown out there for the general public that every time they can hear, he's going to say, okay, we think, and we think, I think, we think. And everybody's 1.5 cents of what they think was not taken into the equation. What happened was there was a consultation among the people who were qualified for consultation, which were the elders of the Muhajirin and Ansar, and they gathered, in one of the gathering places of the Ansar, And there was a very short discussion, there was some back and forth, and it was ultimately decided that Abu Bakr was to be the Khalifa. And the Ansar and Muhajirin, everyone took bay'ah and pledged allegiance to Abu Bakr, and until his death, that's how the things went. At the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, Umar was available. So when you have Umar, you don't look anywhere else, right? So that was a closed chapter again, because Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, as they were known as Shaykhan, and so many times the Nabi alayhi salatu would say, me and Abu Bakr and Umar, and we were there in Abu Bakr and Umar, and we came in and we left it with Abu Bakr and Umar. So Nabi alayhi salatu and his sahibain, Abu Bakr, they were the two pillars, of the foundation of the administration of Islam and the consultation of the Rasul, although he would consult others as well, but those were his two pillars of consultation and support. However, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, very interestingly, when he left the world, he was about to leave the world, and we might also add, the way that he left the world was also extremely interesting, because he used to pray to Allah that, oh Allah, give me shahada in your path in the city of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma rizqni shahadatan fi sabilik, fi baladi habibik. People used to say, how is that possible? In the path of Allah means you go out and you're in the campaign and you get martyred, but inside the city, how does that kind of... Anyway, Umar was Umar. He was among those who, Nabi said that among the people who were before you, there were muhaddathun, not muhaddithun. Muhaddith is a person who is expert in hadith, but muhaddath is a person who is the passive participle, the person who is inspired. So even though they were not prophets, they don't get revelation, but they get inspiration directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in matters, and this was peculiar to Sayyidina Umar. And he said, if there's been any such individuals in my ummah, then it was Umar. Okay, so Umar radiallahu anhu is now been stabbed, and he's on his deathbed, and it took a couple of days actually for him to pass, though he was stabbed multiple places. So he did something very novel. He created a committee. Again, he didn't throw it out there for the, let's have a vote, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry doesn't know what's best for the nation, the people that are qualified to do so. So he created a committee of 6 of individuals whom he said, these are the people that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was pleased with them when he left this world, so I am also pleased with them. Long story short, it's mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari. It's an amazing story. If we had more time, we would mention in detail. But the end result is that out of the 6, they consulted among themselves, and ultimately they decided on Sayyidina Uthman unanimously. And once that was decided unanimously, then again, Muhajirin, Ansar, the elders and the responsible people of the ummah, and then the rank and file, and everyone accepted Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. The instance of Sayyidina Ali was a bit different in the sense that it was a time of fitna, another appropriate occasion. We'll talk about that in more detail. There was also a very amazing scenario. It would take some time to explain that. In any case, so we see that the form of government itself is, and who is to lead the government and who is to lead the people, is also decided by consultation. But again, so we have something which is novel that the world hadn't seen before. At the same time, we didn't go overboard. La ifrat and la tafrit. It was not excess, and there was not, a constriction, beneath what should have been accomplished. But it was the golden median, which is the sort of the, as we say, the shi'ar, or the very essence of Islam, is that moderation. And so, consultation should be among those who are qualified to do so. You don't consult everyone. And if you consult the wrong people, then you get the wrong mashwara. They don't blame except yourself. So this is something that needs to be understood. There are a few other points. That we wanted to answer. Yes, also, suppose in the shura we have, 10, 20, 50 people in the shura or the body of consultants, do we accept or do we go by the majority or not? So again, majority does not rule in Islam. What is right rules in Islam. And sometimes the entirety of humanity goes against what's right. And in the instance of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was one out of the entire community of the world who was following truth. So had he followed the majority, then it would have been totally, a lost case altogether. So we don't follow the majority, we follow what is right. And therefore, the decision making will be the Amir of the Shura, or the Commander-in-Chief, the CEO of a company, the head of a family. So he will take consultation from everyone, or from whoever he feels is suitable or would give, a valuable opinion. However, he puts his attention towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, weighs the options, and then he makes the decision, which as we mentioned earlier, once that decision is taken, everyone leaves their opinion, and now they all unite on the decision of the one who has decided the matter. So it's not, again, majority rules is not the case. If anything, majority, as I've mentioned many times, is generally off the track. If you follow most of the people on the face of the earth, they will take you off the track. So majority rules is definitely not a singular, monarchy type of situation is also unacceptable. And the other extreme, that everybody has a say in the matter, that is also unacceptable. And then once the decision has been made, and this is very critical, and the ayats end with this. فِإِذَا عَزَمْتَ, when you have decided, it's not when you have all of you, when you, the decision maker, has decided, then tawakkal Allah, then put your trust in Allah. So this tells us two things. Number one, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ, once you have determined, and that process of determination will take place after proper planning and consultation. So we don't leave planning. Putting our dependence on Allah doesn't mean that we don't plan. It doesn't mean that we don't think over the matter and we don't come up with a strategy. No, we do the best that we possibly can, knowing full well that whatever strategy and plan we have, which is within our power and ability, however, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided, that's what's going to take place. And so therefore, we put our trust in Allah. If Allah wants that what we have decided is the best course of action, He will do that for us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, perhaps it's not in our best interest, and He decides something else totally unexpectedly. So we place our trust in Allah, and whatever outcome Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides out of the process, it's going to be in our best interest, whether it seems to be favorable or unfavorable. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and make this a critical part of our lives, as well as the Quran and Hadith and the history of our ancestors has shown us how important this shura is, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to implement that. Ameen thumma ameen wa akhir da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.